House lawn.
All right, let's stay on Capitol Hill now and bring in Republican Congressman Tom McClintock of California, chair of the Subcommittee on Immigration, Integrity, Security, and Enforcement. Good morning, Congressman. I know you got a quiet day on Capitol Hill today. You and your colleagues sent home after Speaker Mike Johnson called it quits after several attempts to reach an agreement on Republican legislative agenda, sending all of you off early for recess, not going to come back until after the 4th of July. What's going on right now behind the scenes? Because I know it all stems between the defense spending and adding the Save America Act.
Well, the Speaker is working to put the Save America Act in the reconciliation bill that will only require a majority vote in the Senate. The Democrats can't block it as long as Republicans stand firm. The problem is the rule that accomplishes that was voted down, including 14 Republican members. And I think folks need to be asking them, what in the world are you thinking?
I know that one of the major pieces of legislation that's still kind of in limbo here, the housing bill that recently passed but remains pending. I know you've spoken out against it. What needs to change for it to get your support here?
Well, stop all of the subsidies. That thing is chock full with subsidies and grants. All those do is force up the price of housing for everybody while hiding it for those that are lucky enough to qualify for the subsidies. You know, Ronald Reagan was right. Government is not the solution to this problem. Government is the problem. For years, builders could build to all levels of the market. We had affordable housing at every income level. And then government started adding all of these restrictions and mandates and subsidies. And the result is that housing is unaffordable for most people, particularly in blue states like mine in California, because they've turned an abundant resource, housing, into something that's very scarce. There were more building permits issued in Dallas and Houston last year than were issued in all of California combined. The median price of a home in Texas is about $360,000. In California, it's $910,000.
Yeah.
So, Congressman, as I mentioned earlier, you chaired the Subcommittee on Immigration, Integrity, Security, and Enforcement. There's still a lot of fallout following the Supreme Court ruling earlier this week on birthright citizenship. There are now a number of reports that suggest the president may consider banning pregnant women from coming in to our country on tourist visas or turning them away at the border as a way to stop this birthright citizenship from happening here. What are your thoughts on that? Do you see Congress getting involved in any of this as well?
I think we have to. That was a terrible, terrible decision, but we have to respect it. It is the Supreme Court. 5 of the 9 ruled on the constitutionality of the president's executive order. That's going to require a constitutional amendment to rectify. That's a very heavy lift. But in the meantime, it emphasizes how important it is to keep our borders secured. Because that's the only defense our nation now has to defend its sovereignty.
And we know that things got heated in a hearing this week when one Democrat congresswoman told the parents of innocent victims killed by illegal immigrants that she has better things to do than listen to their stories. Here is that moment.
Unfortunately, this hearing is, it's the 4th time in this committee that we've had a hearing on sanctuary cities. The 4th time. And there's many other things that we could be doing other than this.
You wonder why we had 4 hearings? It's because you don't understand the consequence of sanctuary policy.
Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, we won't give our approval for people to introduce their constituents if people don't stick to the rules. So I appreciate the chairman's insistence that we stick to the rules and that you have the opportunity to introduce your constituent, which I think you have done.
My constituent
so thank you very much, Mr. Lawler and Mr. Chairman.
Sharing the details of her death. You may not want to hear the details. It may be an inconvenience to you, but these details matter.
Yeah, that was your colleague, Republican Mike Lawler, clapping back there. Other things that we could be doing? What did you make of all of that?
Well, I think it speaks for itself. And remember what was happening there. We were hearing from Jessica Gorman. Jessica's daughter, Sheridan, was murdered by an illegal alien back in March. Her murderer illegally entered our country during the Biden open border years. He was then arrested for shoplifting in Chicago. Now, under the law, that requires him to be turned over to ICE for deportation. But instead, Chicago's sanctuary law released him back into the community. That is the reason why 18-year-old Sheridan Gordon was murdered. And to her mother's face, with her father and sister in tears in the audience, with about 10 other angel families holding up pictures of their murdered loved ones in the audience, the Democrats said they had better things to do with their time than address the issue. That's what they said in the hearing. They had better things to do. Well, that speaks for itself, and I assured them we will continue to hold these hearings to give voice to the families of these victims until this matter is rectified.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't believe they said that. All right, Congressman Tom McClintock, thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.